All right, let's take a look at where we left off last time. So we have we've got a playable game going. We've got some enemies. We've got some camera restrictions, right? I've got to definitely put some collision or something there so our player doesn't fall off. Well, I guess we could leave him fall off, but we got to put something down here so it restarts. If I bump into this guy, he just pushes me. What I'd like to do is just maybe restart the level or kill my player or something if he touches those tree people. Probably less cruel if we, restart the level, give him a chance to play again, or maybe our character goes to sleep. I don't know. We might need an animation for that. So we'll definitely make it more um, secular. Just check like has our player been like I guess the best way to put this is like, well, let's make a boolean. Let's start with that. So we're gonna make a boolean, and it's gonna say, um, I guess player restart. And what this is going to cover is, and we're just going to set this equal to true. That's not a good way of saying it. Player um, not hit, maybe, and then that would be true. And so what we're going to say is inside of maybe our update function here, we'll just pass in, we'll create an if statement, and we'll say, I'm going to hit tab to let that finish it out for me. If not, player not hit. I guess the best way to put this is not hit. I will just use it, player not. If the player has not been hit, that's what that exclamation point means. We're just going to exit out of this. And what this is going to do is it's saying right now we're set to true, right? So that means our player has not been hit, it's true. But if it's the opposite of true, because remember, this is checking if the statement is true, that means it's false, we're just going to jump out of the update method. And that's going to not let us walk, flip right, or anything like that. So let me kind of just show you that in action. So I'm going to make this a serialized field just because I can show you just how that little bit of logic, that if statement will stop us from doing any of this. So if I press play right now and I select my player here, and you can see because I made it a serialized field, it is now an exposed Boolean variable on here. So I'm going to move. Notice I can move around. I can jump. But if I uncheck this, I can no longer move around or jump. Oh, it looks like I can jump. And maybe that's because I just can't move because my jump is not fed through. My on jump is not fed through update. And that is fed through where? Let's see. Well, an easy way to check this is just click on it and then F12. Oh, that's right. We have it connected to our input action. So it's always being called anyway. So what we can do is we can also, we could switch this to, you know what? I have a better idea. Let's just grab that line and then just paste it above on move to double check that and then on jump. And that should lock everything in place. So let's press play here. And what it's going to check is, remember, this return exits us out of that method. And then as it keeps running this code, or I hit spacebar, it's going to keep checking this. So we need to turn this back on to is true. But for now, I'm going to turn on player hit, right? So I can jump, I can move around. But if I turn this on, notice I can't move or jump or anything, and he just pushes me off. So what I want to do is in update, well, not an update, but just in general, if our player has been hit, I want to restart level. And because that doesn't exist, I'm going to hit control period and create a method called restart level. All right, so what are some ways we could do this? We could do this with onTrigger enter, which we've done a lot in other games, but I want to show you a different way of doing this. Remember, our player here, let me hit F to focus, it has a collider, right? It has this capsule collider here, which is we get it here. And it looks like it's grayed out. Let me hit F12 on this to see where else it's used. It's used here and here. Oh, interesting. So I'm going to grab this capsule collider. And what I'm going to say is, I'm just going to go down into, where's my restart level method. I'm going to say in here, if, and I hit tab, my capsule collider dot is touching layers, and then I want to do layer mask dot get mask. And then what mask do I want inside of here? Well, let's take a look. So if I look at my trunk NPC here, it's not on a layer. So I'm going to add a layer here. Give it a second to compute here. And the layer I'm going to add is just called enemy. Let's make that capital because the others are. And these are my layer masks, are these guys down here. So now when I go back to trunk and trunk NPC2, which I could probably delete this guy because I'm going to make a prefab and we could always edit it. So I'll just delete this guy. But my trunk NPC here, I'm just going to tag it as enemy. And yes, I want to change the children. And if I go inside of here and I enter enemy here, what do I want to do inside of here? Well, I'm going to set my my player not hit here to false. So I'm going to say that equals false. So I'm going to hit Control S to save, and you'll notice on my player here, it's currently set to true. So let's go ahead and test this out. Oh, you know what? This trunk NPC, I grabbed the other one. Let's put them up here. I think he'll move because down there it seemed like the raycasting was a little different. Okay, so here I am moving around. Yeah, we've got to adjust his ray distance to maybe 0.2. It's too long. Remember, that's what's kind of making him freak out. Interesting. How do we fix all this? Another thing I had to do is because remember we're doing a ground check here, I had to make sure that it was like really on the ground, like that. And then I believe we can go a little higher in my ray distance. Let's see if that freaks it out. No, that worked out pretty good. So now you can see I'm jumping, but the second he hits my character, we look at my player controller, it says we turn off player hit, right? This player hit is set to false, and now I can't move around. Actually, what the heck happened there? Okay, let's see. So, oh, sorry, I've got to set him to enemy. Yes, change children. Okay. All right, let's try that one more time. Sorry, I had to kind of like go back a few steps to see why. Now you can see my player controller. It turned it to a false, and I wasn't able to move. All right, cool. Let's save this. Shall we save our script? All right, so let's also give a visual indicator that our character has been hit, right? So if I press this play now, and I move around, and I touch this guy, now my thing is locked. I'm just kind of stuck in this walking state. We might have to create a death animation too, or some sort of restart animation. I'm so used to working in games that are violent that I just keep reversing back to that. But let's just say, let's create a private, you know what, this should go up here in this section here, this private player movement param. So let me duplicate this. And it's not a float, it's a vector too, because we're going to have it send it in a certain direction. And we're going to use the velocity for this. And we're going to call this hit force. And then I'm going to get rid of this for a second. So we can just tune that in the inspector. And then at the bottom here, I'm going to, inside of our restart, where's that restart level, I'm going to actually play with that force. And so I'm going to say, let's grab our reference to our rigid body, which is rigid body 2D here. And all I'm going to do is just add force. So rigid body 2D dot velocity. I think it's linear velocity. Velocity is if you're using 2022. And I think we named it hit force, yeah. So now when I save this, here's my player. You can see we have this hit force, and we can go on the x-axis. So I can say, okay, maybe I want my player to move, you know, negative. So we'll do minus 1. And then in the air, that's a positive value. We'll do 1. So this might be insane, the amount of force, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to press play here. And I'm going to walk up to this character, and that did not work. I did not. Actually, you know what? I know why. We didn't set it as a new vector 2. And within this, this parameter here, notice that it's not used. We can try -1 and 1. And that'll expose it inside of here anyway. And that should actually provide the force to make our character move. Let's see. That's too short. Let's do -10. Or not enough hit force. There we go. Yeah, that's the reason why. It just wasn't enough. So let's do -5 and 5. And I actually might want it to go less on the X because this really makes our character fly back. See how he keeps going? So maybe the hit force here should be -3, and then he should really just go up in the air. And that could be 6. So he's like, boom. And my controls are locked and he goes flying off. I don't like how he keeps sliding though. I wonder if that's because of this capsule collider slide material. Let me go ahead and remove that to none. And then see if he just keeps moving. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Let's save that. Maybe what we could do is, let's take a look. Add extra affordance, like we get hit back, but instead of it, like it locks the controls, but we just kind of like destroy, game object, which would be this game object. And after 3 seconds, we'll save that. Maybe 3, and then we could run some code to restart the level if he's hit. I mean, we can build out a health bar. Maybe we'll do that before I add the code where the level restarts. So I'm hit, and then after so much time, the character disappears. 3 seconds might be too long. And anyway, speaking of too long, I don't want this video to get too long and for you to get too bored. I hope you're enjoying this. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you come up with.